Welcome to Scary Stories. Today we've got 5 new scary stories about ghost sightings. Please don't forget to like, subscribe. Story 1: Sarah's sighting. It was a warm summer evening, and Sarah was walking back to her apartment after a long day at work. As she walked down the deserted street, she couldn't shake the feeling that she was being followed. She turned around but saw no one. She tried to brush it off and continued walking. As she got closer to her apartment building, she saw a figure standing in front of the door. It was a woman dressed in a Victorian-era dress. Sarah was terrified and couldn't believe what she was seeing. The ghostly figure simply stood there, staring at her with empty eyes. Sarah tried to run, but she couldn't move. The ghostly figure slowly floated towards her, and Sarah could feel a chill run down her spine. The ghostly figure reached out and touched her, and Sarah felt an icy coldness from the touch. Suddenly, the figure vanished, leaving Sarah alone and terrified on the street. From that day forth, Sarah always made sure to avoid that street at night, for fear of encountering the ghostly presence once again. Story 2: Todd's story. It was a quiet night, and Todd was sitting in his living room, watching TV. Suddenly, he felt a cold breeze brush past him, but he couldn't find the source. He felt uneasy, but he assumed it was just a draft. He tried to ignore it and continued watching TV. But then, he heard a soft voice whisper his name. He turned around but saw no one. The voice continued to whisper his name, and he realized it was coming from the hallway. Todd slowly walked towards the hallway, and as he turned the corner, he saw the ghostly figure of a woman in a white dress. The ghostly figure stared at him, and Todd froze in terror. He tried to scream, but he couldn't make a sound. The figure slowly approached him, and Todd could feel a coldness emanating from her. Suddenly, the ghostly figure vanished. Todd was left alone, but he knew he had experienced something otherworldly. He always sensed the presence of the ghostly figure around him, even though he never saw her again. From that day on, Todd kept his house heavily guarded and never stayed alone for too long. He never could shake the feeling that the ghostly figure was still lurking in the shadows, watching his every move. Story 3: Emma's story. It was a late night, and Emma was driving back from a friend's house. She was driving on a deserted road when she saw a young girl standing on the side of the road. Emma slowed down, and the girl approached her car. Emma rolled down her window, and the girl asked if she could get a ride home. Emma felt sorry for the girl and agreed to give her a lift. The girl got into the back seat, and they started driving. But soon, Emma noticed that the girl was unusually quiet. She tried to start a conversation, but the girl remained silent. Emma got a strange feeling and decided to turn on the interior lights. To her horror, she saw that the girl had vanished into thin air. Emma slammed on the brakes and looked around in disbelief, but there was no sign of the girl. Emma realized she had been picked up by a ghost who had hitchhiked with her. She drove back home as fast as she could and never drove alone at night again. She always reminded herself to be cautious of picking up strangers, especially as ghosts may look like humans and lead you into terrifying situations. Story 4. Amy's story. I remember one night, about 5 years ago. I was 23 and I was driving back home from a party. It was around midnight. I took a shortcut through a quiet alley where there were very few houses. Suddenly, I saw a woman standing by the side of the road. She was wearing an old-fashioned white gown, and her hair was disheveled. Her face was pale, and she was just standing there, staring at me. I quickly drove past her, but as I glanced in my rearview mirror, she was still standing there, staring at me, without moving. I kept driving, but the feeling of fear started to creep into me. I was overwhelmed with the sense that I wasn't alone. I thought about the woman in the white gown and kept checking the rearview mirror to see if she was following me. As I pulled into my driveway, I checked the mirror and saw nothing. I parked my car and quickly rushed to my door. Once inside, my heart was pounding, and I was shaking. I never experienced anything remotely similar before. It was deeply unsettling. Claire had been driving home after a long day at work when she spotted something strange on the side of the road. It was a dark summer night, and the road was mostly empty. As she drove closer, she realized with a start that it was a figure, standing on the side of the road. She slowed down, her hands shaking. As she drew closer, she could make out the figure's features. It was a pale, gaunt figure, dressed in a tattered white gown. It had long, flowing hair and two deep, dark eyes that seemed to stare right into her soul. Claire slammed on the brakes, afraid to get any closer. As if in response, the figure suddenly disappeared. Claire felt a chill run down her spine as she realized what she had just seen. She sped away, her heart pounding in her chest. She drove all the way home, her eyes fixed on the road ahead, never once looking back. She was certain that she had just seen a ghost. The summer night seemed to stretch on, and Claire couldn't shake the feeling that she was being watched. When she finally arrived home, she locked the door behind her and stayed inside until morning. To this day, Claire still remembers that terrifying summer night when she encountered the ghost on the side of the road. The memory still haunts her, and she's never been able to shake the feeling of being watched by something unseen. Thanks for watching. Hope you liked today's video. Have a great day. Please don't forget to like, subscribe and join me on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat. Please share this video if you liked what you've seen.